Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
we're happy to have you today.
I'm really excited to be here and to share more about the lab. It's a really exciting program, so let's get started.
Nice. Thank you. So let's go into the questions that we have for you today. I believe you are ready for us.
Yes,
Okay, so could you please reintroduce yourself to everyone?
sure. So my name is Jen Addison. I am the program or project manager for the AI4Good Lab, which is a 7-week machine learning and AI introductory bootcamp for women and gender diverse people. I just joined Mila, based in Quebec and Montreal, in December, so I'm new to this role, and hopefully this conversation will be good practice for me to share more information about the lab. And I use she, they pronouns, so you can refer to me with she, her, or they, them pronouns.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Nice to meet you once again. All right, so we'll be going directly into our questions, and we have some questions here for you. And the
Okay.
first one is, despite having limited experience in AI and machine learning, can individuals still apply for the AI for Good fellowship?
So, yes, great question. The program is an introduction to machine learning. So, um, most participants have zero to or limited experience with machine learning and AI. The real focus in terms of what we're looking for in an applicant academically is that they have a strong math background, calculus, algebra, etc., as well as some knowledge of Python. So that can be through coursework, but it could also be personal projects, kind of, coding as a hobby, work experience. So that's really what we're looking for. Everyone, for the most part, joining this program is starting, from scratch. So it's really geared to be an introductory program.
Okay, so it's meant to introduce people into the program fully. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's meant to give people that first kind of experience with AI and machine learning. So if you have limited experience, then yes, you are a great candidate for this.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you so much. So, and the next question says, I'm currently studying biological science, and my interest lies in applying AI in my field. Can I apply for the AI for Good fellowship?
So yes, kind of the same answer. Again, I would just focus on making sure that your math background is strong. It is an introductory program, sure, but for example, on the first or second day, there will be a intro to Python workshop. So knowing that, okay, do I feel prepared to be in that space? And participate fully. So that's what I would focus on. There are people with all academic disciplines, from all academic disciplines in the program. So what you're studying doesn't necessarily matter. It's again that math piece. And then the program is really geared towards undergraduate or college students, because it is an introduction to machine learning and AI. So most participants will be at the undergraduate or college level. We do master students are eligible, but the majority of our spots will be reserved for undergraduate level folks, and PhD students are not eligible. So those are the key things I would look at, and your what you're studying isn't necessarily directly going to impact your acceptance into the program.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for that. So we have another question here. This question is about language barrier. And so is there an opportunity for individuals with limited proficiency in English, both spoken and written, to participate in the program?
Mhm. That's a great question. So the program does take place in English, even though I'm based in Montreal and we're a pretty bilingual French English city. Everything is done in English, so it might be challenging. I would say, maybe it's up to the individual. There's certainly no evaluation of your English as a prerequisite for the program. So I would say people apply in French and English. Those are the two languages that we see. And you would just need to be comfortable being in a course that's taught in English. And I think, to some extent, some studies or topics are kind of like universal, and sometimes we think about math or something like that, and that might be comfortable for someone who has limited English. So I would say just evaluate how you would feel in a class or a lecture or a workshop that's taught in English, and also working with a team of folks who maybe are all speaking English. In some cases, there might be French spoken for in the teams. At the end, there's team projects. So in the teams in Montreal, perhaps some of the participants are choosing to speak French, but I would say assess your own comfort level. I can't necessarily tell you how comfortable you would be keeping up with the curriculum. So that is a challenging question, because I guess the short answer is not necessarily. We don't really have translation or interpretation services, for example, throughout the program. And because it moves at such a fast pace, I do worry that someone might feel like they couldn't fully keep up with the pace, because that's of course an additional thing to just consider or have to manage. But this is great food for thought. So if that's something that, folks have ideas for other languages that this could be offered in, even just, perspectives within AI or speakers that they'd want to hear from to speak about. There's a lot of projects around languages. We have a project here at Mila that's around preserving Indigenous languages, for example. So I think there's a conversation to be had here where we would take that feedback from someone that feels like that's a barrier to applying. And then we can maybe work through a way to make it a reality. Sorry, that was a long answer. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So the third question, what criteria are considered when determining whether an application is strong or weak?
The application consists of, things like upload your transcript, you'll upload a resume, a cover letter, and there's also essay questions. So there's 4 or 5 kind of criteria that we look at. They're all weighted pretty equally. What I will say is that, for example, we got a question the other day that was asking how heavily we weigh someone's GPA or transcript, because sometimes folks have circumstances that make school more challenging at some points than other. And sometimes, it's, I think, something that a lot of people experience. Maybe your grades suffered one semester because you were dealing with personal issues or things like that. So that's not what I'll say. It's we look at the applications holistically. So I invited this person to say, if you want to include some details around that semester and the circumstances you were facing, feel free. Your GPA is not your entrance into the program. It's one of the factors that we consider, but we look at the whole person. We want to make sure that the process is as fair and equitable as possible. And that means considering not just the numbers and letters on paper, but the full lived experience of the person. And so what I would say is the essay questions are really that chance to show us who you are and why you want to be a part of the program. Be authentic. I think that it's great to have help sometimes from, I know that folks use ChatGPT sometimes to help generate ideas, but as much as possible, write in your own voice. As much as possible, speak to concrete examples from your life and draw from your personal history. Talk about projects that you've done or activities that you've done that have inspired you or motivated you to want to participate in this program. It's not just learning about AI, it's also understanding how to apply AI in a social good project or with a social impact. So write about why that's important to you. So really, I would say the authenticity piece and the willingness to kind of share personal examples are two pieces that can at least strengthen your application. Give us an idea of who the person is, and that's really that's what we want to see. We want to know who you are. So we are looking beyond just the typical prerequisite, like what's your GPA and what school do you go to. Like we're really looking at the person.
But however, the GPA is part of the criteria, right?
Yes, we do. There is a question. What is your GPA? And there is a question. We ask you to upload your transcript. So it's part of the application, but it does not, having a certain GPA does not guarantee or deny you a spot automatically, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for that. So now to the first question. It says, as I am currently in Africa and plan to be in Canada by April, can I submit my application from my current country, considering that I will be in Canada for the duration of the program if selected?
Yes. So in the application, there is a question, both where are you located and also where will you be located when the program is actually happening. So that's fine to submit the application from anywhere in the world. So yes, if you're currently in Africa, you can absolutely still submit your application. The only thing to consider is that you just need to have a valid status in Canada to participate, and that's related to also the financial support that participants get. So there's a stipend involved in the program, and so part of the requirements to receive that just involve having a status in Canada. So that could be a citizen, permanent resident, a study permit, work permit, anything like that. So that's the main consideration. And this year, so previously we had cohorts in Edmonton, Montreal, and Toronto. This year we are adding a virtual cohort. So in previous years it's been hybrid style, but this year we're going to do the cohorts in each city will be in person, and then there will be a fully virtual cohort. So there maybe is also the option just in case if for some reason you're delayed in coming to Canada or something changes, you still have to have a valid status, but you could also probably participate from the program from wherever you're based if it's outside of Canada.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. So, is it possible to take a temporary pause in the middle of the program if an urgent matter arises?
It's hard to answer. Like I think that would have to be handled on a case-by-case basis so that we figure out the best solution for what's actually happening. I think there's so many factors that go into it. So of course, what part of the program are we in? Like what phase? Is it the first couple weeks? Is it the last week? So I think there could be a scenario where yes, you take a pause, you are able to make up the topics, the lectures, etc., are recorded. Like sure, there could be a scenario where we would be able to have that person kind of finish the program as planned. I think there could be a lot of considerations though, including what's happening and not wanting someone to feel pressure to finish the program, and maybe working out an arrangement where they would have to pause and maybe try to do the program the following year, because I also would want to respect whatever it is that they were going through. And so I would say it is possible. It just depends on the situation, and what the pause looks like would probably be different for each person depending on the circumstance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you for explaining that. So what strategies are in place to help participants sustain their learning from the program? And are there any mentorship opportunities available after the program?
So this is a great question, and this is something that's ongoing as the lab grows in terms of even just capacity and staff capacity. So throughout the program, participants are introduced to a lot of folks in the industry. And what I will say is, to some extent, there is a responsibility to kind of sees the opportunity or yeah, sees the opportunity and figure out a way to maintain those relationships. So in addition to the speakers that we have and academics, leading workshops and professionals from not just the AI industry or tech industry, but even nonprofit industry, because we have that social good lens. There'll be opportunities to network and to meet folks, and it's really, I would say, up to participants to run with that and nurture those contacts and make those connections to an extent. And the projects are done in team format. So each team is also paired with a mentor, and that'll give, even more access kind of on a smaller, so maybe like a 5-to-1 ratio to a mentor, and give that relationship an opportunity to develop, and that person will know your work because they are helping you on this journey of trying to create your own AI or machine learning prototype. So besides from creating opportunities during the program, we know that it's not enough to just say, we've introduced you to folks and we've had a few networking events. Like go and keep those contacts yourself. Like certainly part of this program is not just learning about machine learning and AI, but also there'll be project management pieces, how to manage a project, how to come up with the project, how to build a team and create a good team environment. So with that, skills around developing and nurturing relationships with your mentors and contacts is something that we hope to a skill that we hope to teach. So we'll give those tips at the end of the program and during the program, even ahead of networking events. Okay, here are ideas for how to start a conversation. Here are realistic goals. If you're maybe like myself, I'm very introverted. I don't like networking. I'm very shy, but maybe I go to a networking event and my goal is to talk to just like 2 new people. And that's an achievable goal for me. I'm sure I'll meet more than that, but then I'm going into it much more calm. So giving the students tips like that to help them learn how to start relationships, and then also tips to maintain those relationships as part of our plan for kind of towards the end of the session when things are winding down and we're wrapping up. Beyond that, hoping to incorporate tips on, interviewing, getting your resume updated, how to write a good cover letter, how to even put the lab on your resume. What does that look like? What should I say? Like, how do I include it? And again, that piece around how to stay in touch. So there's some pieces for us that will be kind of like taught. Beyond that, alumni, we try to keep them as engaged as possible. So for example, as I'm planning for this year's lab, I've reached out to alumni to help promote the lab on social media. I've reached out to let them know that we need help evaluating applications. I've reached out to them to let them know we're looking for maybe an intern, maybe a summer internship after the semester ends. We also invite them to events during the current lab. So there'll be a few networking opportunities, maybe professional development opportunities, inviting them to facilitate a panel. So we're always trying to look out for ways to continue to help them build skills and then stay in contact with the network that they've built just by kind of attending events throughout the year. And honestly, we're hoping to build that out more because, to your point, I think it's really important to help sustain the relationships that they make. And I don't think that doing that relationship nurturing comes naturally necessarily, and it takes practice. So it's one of our kind of ongoing goals is to make that aspect of the program better and better. So it's in progress, but that's what we have kind of to offer right now.
Yeah, thank you. That's quite great opportunities for anybody participating in the program. Will participants have exclusive right to the projects developed during the program?
Yes. And I will add that the projects are developed in teams, which I've said, but there's also an award given out, one to a team in each cohort. So last year there were 3 cohorts and we gave out 3 awards. So there's judges, which are made up of like the mentors and folks from our sponsor organizations. And we're really excited to just kind of like celebrate and honor the hard work that they did in a really tangible way. But yes, And some teams I know I believe have continued to work on their projects after the lab has wrapped. So yep, it's theirs to keep and to continue working on as they like.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much for the insight today. Thank you for coming on board. We really appreciate. So I guess that's all for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for your great questions. The next lab starts in May, so applications are due by January 31st. And it's just on our website, AI4GoodLab.com. But I am available for questions. I get many emails every day from folks with their specific questions about their application. So, you know, tell your network not to hesitate to reach out to me if ever. I'm happy to answer more questions.